This meeting is being recorded.
So today we're going to be talking about arrays and vectors. So if you've been, oh my God. Okay, interesting. This thing is just very laggy, it seems.
Is this class going to end at the same time as usual or at 30 minutes more?
30 minutes more. Okay. So if you've been a critical thinker, you might have been thinking, well, how do you store a lot of numbers? Uh, yeah, so here on the screen, you can see that we have 10 numbers, which to a computer isn't actually a lot. But if you see, this is very inconvenient. Like you have to create so many variables to store that many numbers, and it's only 10. Like a computer can store a million numbers really easily. So it would be pretty hard to just copy and paste a million times. Um, so the people have decided to be smart and they use this something called an array. So I copied this definition from somewhere else. It looks a bit long, but I'll just basically cut it down for you. It's an array is a data structure. It has a fixed size and it stores elements that have the same type. So for example, you can have the most common is an int array where you just store a lot of integers. So you might be scratching your heads at the word data structure. So the word data structure means like data structure is really just a way to store data in a computer. So I copied this image and from somewhere else. So each array has a memory location, which really isn't that important for now. Just know that everything has a different location in memory. And these are the elements of the array. So there's U, B, F, D, A, E, C. And then on the bottom are the indices. You can call them indexes. I've seen them used interchangeably. And then they start at 0 and they end at the size of the array minus 1. So there's 7 elements as you can see here. And oh yeah, and these are called elements. Each one is called an element. And then the index ends at the number of the size of the array minus 1. So this is how you declare an array. Um, it's basically just the type. Um, wait, sorry, let me go back. So to declare an array, you have the type space. Um, so you have the type, which is like int, double, char, etc. And then the array name. So here, there's my arrays are called array one and R1 and R2. They can be called different things, of course. And then you have brackets, and then inside the brackets is the size. So then the first one here, int R1, I declared the size to be 10. And you have to declare a size because remember, we said that arrays are a fixed size, so you can't change it. And then the second one here, R2, basically R2 has 5 elements. And you can declare them to initialize them to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You could put the size inside of the brackets. You don't have to, but yeah, you could just do any of them. And an important thing to note is that arrays have to be the same type. So here we have array R1 with 1, 2, imposter, 4, and 5. And you can't put imposter because it's not an integer. Okay. So now I would like you to declare your own double array. Wait, so first, is everyone clear on how do you declare an array first? Is everyone clear? Okay, so someone asked what's a double array? A double array is just an array of doubles. I believe we talked about doubles in the first class. It's just decimals. Okay, so I'm gonna assume that everyone knows how to make an array, how to declare an array. So now declare your own double array. The double is just the type. And please send it to me um, through chat. And send it to me, not my iPad. Okay, so it seems like people know how to declare a double array now. Um, so this is what I wrote. You could do both of these. They're both okay. Okay, so someone said, are we doing adding and removing to arrays? No, you cannot add and remove to an array because remember, as I said before, arrays have a fixed size. So you can't remove, add or remove. So this is how you access elements in an array. If you want the first one, you will get 1. Okay, so someone said, then what's the point of an array with 10 spaces and nothing in them? So you're declaring the size and you can put things inside it later. You can change the value inside the element, but you can't add or remove. You can just change the current ones. So to access, oh, okay. So to access them, you just take the array name and then put brackets, and then inside the brackets are the index, is the index. So everyone, what is A? What is the value of A?
Two.
Yeah, it is 2 because if you remember, um, arrays, the index starts at 0 and it ends at the size -1. So what would be the last element? What would be the index of the last element, which is 5?
Four.
Yeah, it's 4. So changing elements is pretty easy. You can just you can just um you just access. Okay, wait. Let me try to annotate. Um okay, I guess I don't know how to annotate. But okay, so let me run through this code for you. So the computer will first go to the main, and then you have array 1, which has 5 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I have a equals 5. So how I change it is that I take the element and it equals, and you can put it equals to a. So this is basically just like another variable, like array 1 index with bra array 1 with index 0 is basically just the variable. And then if I print it out, you can see that it prints. Oh yeah, so the print function for printing, it's a bit annoying, I would say. So I think last class you talked about passing by reference. So to pass by reference, you you have to do int space or the type and then space, and then in parentheses you put the ampersand sign and then the name of the array and then brackets with the size. It's a bit confusing, but it just comes with practice. And then I just print out the elements. And if you remember from the last class, void functions don't need to return. So here we print out 5, 2, 3, 4, 5 because we changed the first element to 5. So is everyone good on arrays and all that? Okay, I will take that as a yes. So there are still some problems with arrays. So the 3 parts of the arrays, we said that it's a data structure, that it has a fixed size, and that it stores elements of the same type. So which one of these do you think you should change, A, B, or C? Or possibly more than one? Okay, so people are saying B, and one person also said C. Um, so we're going to talk about the B problem first because it's pretty obvious that that one's wrong. C, that like it's a problem. C is actually also a problem, like a pretty minor problem if you want to store elements of different types. We will get into that later if we have time. Like, yeah. So yeah, B and C are the problems. So the solution to B is a vector. A vector is just a dynamic array, so you can change the size of it. You can add elements, you can remove elements. You can change, basically you can change the size of the vector. So here are the ways to declare a vector. So the first one you can just do. Okay, so to declare a vector, you write vector and then you use the less than sign and then your type and then the greater than sign and then the name. the name of the vector. So the on the first one, I have v1. You can you can um you can declare a vector like this because it's a dynamic array, so you can change the size later. You can add arrays. I mean, you can you can add elements. And then the second one is vector is v2. So, and then I declared the size. I have the size of it too, which is 10. So, um, this one, notice that although I declared the size, I can still add I can add or remove elements later. So I can always just change it. And then the third one, you can just is kind of a variable vector. So you can just have a variable size. With arrays, it's not a C++ thing, it's only a G++. So you can't do like array and then in brackets, like let's say A, which is a variable. So and then so basically v3 is the same as v2. They both have the same size. And then so the fourth way is kind of not really used that much. So basically what it does is it creates, so the size is x, and then all of the elements are y. So in this case, you have 10 elements and all of the elements are 20. So when we print it out, okay, so the print function, what this does, I'm not sure you talked about const last time, but you don't really need to know that. You could, const is basically just kind of a safety measure to make sure that you don't change any elements. So like you normally use const when you don't need to change the elements. And then the reference is the pass by reference is pretty normal. You just have the vector int and then with an ampersand and then the name. So then in the for loop, you can see that you can get the size, which is v4 dot size. So that's how you get the size of the vector. So to change the elements, like adding, removing, so there's 3 main operations that you're going to use. The first one, okay, so first I created a vector with 10 elements, each with the value 20. So then the first way is that you could just change the index of the, I mean, if you have the variable with the vector with the index, you can just change it like just the same as we did with an array. So then when I print that one out, you can see that I have a 0 at the start and 9 20s after that. And then so to add an element, you can do pushback, and then you push back the number. So then what this does is it adds an element to the back of the array. Yeah, and then so then here you can see that we have 0 at the start, 9 20s, and then 21 after that. And then another thing you could do is pop back. So popback basically just like what popback does is it deletes the last element. So then as you can see when it prints out, it just there's it's the same as the first one. And then you can also resize. You can resize it to any number that's like any positive number. I'm not sure if 0 works. You could try that out. But what it does is just either increases or decreases the size. So if it increases this, okay, so when you increase the size, there's just more elements that you can like push. And then when you decrease the size, it just takes the it just deletes all the elements like that are so like here it deleted the elements the last 5 20s because I resized it to 5, so then it only takes the first 5. Okay, so is everyone clear on vectors and how to declare them? Okay, what's your question?
Wait. Hello? Can you send me the recording of this later? People are deleting all of my notes and I'm trying to roll back right now, so I missed
Oh,
it.
okay. Yeah, sure. Okay, so can you guys send me your like just declare your own vector and send it to me? Oh, sorry, I disabled chat. Okay, so someone made a mistake when they were sending it to me. Like, so remember that vectors, when you, um, so vectors, when you change the size of it, I mean, when you declare with the size, it's, okay, fine. It's with parentheses. So if you look here, yeah, if you look here, the second one, the V2 has a size of 10 and it uses parentheses, not brackets. So that's a bit different. Okay, so I think everyone knows how to use a vector. So um, okay, so now you might be thinking, which one should you use? And at first it might seem pretty obvious. Of course you use a vector, you can change the size. And that's kind of true if you have like, the only reason you would ever use an array is if memory is like really limited, like if your computer has small RAM or there's just very high memory restrictions, then you would probably want to use an array rather than a vector. But for every single other case, you would just use a vector. It's just simpler. like it's more flexible. Personally, I've rarely used arrays, like maybe once or twice. It's really not like I never really needed to use less memory. So then we're gonna talk about 2D arrays and vectors now. Um, so 2D arrays and vectors. So 2D arrays, remember that arrays are still have a fixed size, and that vectors still have, like, you can still resize it. So then to create it, you just have um you have it's the same as declaring a normal array, except you just have one more like bracket with numbers with the size inside. So basically this is just a 10 by 10 array. Okay, I forgot to put this in the slides, but um so in a vector, in a 2D, I mean, oh god, what am I saying? In a 2D array, and with the 2D vector as well, the index 0, 0 is the top left corner. It's not the bottom left or anywhere else. It's actually the top left. And then, oh, I wish I knew how to annotate. But basically as the row, like as you go down each row, the X, like the first bracket, it adds. So when you go down, the first one adds. And then when you go right, every column, the bracket on the right, the second one, it goes up, it adds as well. Did everyone get that? Was that clear? Um, okay, I'll take that as a yes. So, I probably should have outputted it to show you. Okay, but anyways, to declare a 2D vector, you do vector of int. So basically you have like a vector, and then each vector has another vector inside it. Like, oh, okay, let me put it like this. So you have a vector, and then the vector has a number of other vectors inside it. So it's basically the same as a 2D array. Okay, wait, let me just chat to everyone how it would work. So the okay, it would kind of look like this. If you look at the chat, it would look like this. So the first one would be, so the top left would be 0, 0. And as you go down, the left one would add, and then as you go right, the right one will add. So then, yeah, with vectors, okay, so this is how you declare a vector, 2D vector, which is vector of ints. And then you can resize it. The resizing, basically what this does is it makes 10, there's 10, so, okay. It's like a 10 by 20 array. So the first one is like the number of, I believe this is the number of rows, and then the one on the right is the number of columns. So there would be 10 10 it's kind of like there's 10 vectors, and then each vector is of length 20, of size 20. I hope that's clear. It's the same as a 2D array. Okay, so now we're going to go to the C problem, the problem with C. So the solution is a struct. A struct is a bit of a more advanced topic, but it's about a struct. Basically what it does is you can make, it's basically your own data structure. So how you define it is you have a struct, and then the name of the struct. So I'm not sure, but I believe that vector is a struct too. So if you wanted to make a vector, you would do, I'll put it in the chat again. So like you can have a vector with like a size, and then you can have, okay, let me just use the student example, I guess. So the name is student. So to access, okay, I'll talk about that one. Student, and then the student has, it will have a name and a grade. So this, you can, this is basically a data structure, and then it has two, like, yeah, it has the name and it has the grade. And then notice that at the end, at line 8, it has a semicolon at the end. I'm not sure why, there just is. So then this is how you use a struct. So you can make, so with our student example, like on the left, you have student S1. So S1 is a variable of the type student. And then to access the name and the grade, you do the S1 dot name. So you have the dot, like, yeah, you have the dot, and then you can say equals, let's say Ethan, and then S1 dot grade equals 8. So yeah, this is basically how you use like simple structs like this. On the right is, you can see that the student struct has a vector, and so it stores a, you can put vectors, you can actually even put a function. I think that you can make an vector with this. It's a bit advanced, but it would have a function in it too. So basically yeah, you can call the function from the variable. So then this one had this student, it's just a vector of grades. And then I could say, I could create a student called S1. And then so then basically how you do this is how you push something in is S1 dot grades dot pushback. So there could be multiple dots. Just know that. So does anyone have questions, concerns, doubts? Are you all clear? Okay, so I am going to assume that you all understand this, hopefully.
But this guy isn't. Is this guy moving?
Um, so I would like you to make your own structure.
You know when class is gonna end?
Yeah, it's gonna end in 30 minutes because we delayed it. How, what's your question?
I'll just ask in chat.
Okay. I would prefer more responses from people. Is everyone clear on how to declare a struct? I'm not getting many responses.
Um, well, one thing, sorry, I think I need to leave.
Okay, if you have to go, you can go.
All right, bye. Thank you
Bye.
for teaching me.
Okay, so I'm gonna re-explain structs because it seems like some people are pretty confused. So you can kind of think of you can think of a student as a data structure like similar. It's like similar to int, double, char, and then you can it is except it stores different things. So you can kind of think of a struct as an int that stores multiple things, not just a number. So every variable, like in student, like student S1, S1 has a name and a grade, but like the name and the grade are like they're only S1s. So like if you have an S2, the name and the grade won't be the same as S1. So each one has a different name and a grade. Does it make that more clear? Is it are structs like still unclear? Are you still confused? Or are you just writing the code right now? Okay, I think everyone is clear, hopefully. So like can you guys just send a struct? Like I just want to make sure that everyone got it because structs are kind of hard. So it's fine if you don't get it, but I'll try to make it as clear as possible. Okay, nice. I think people are getting that, are getting how to use structs, I think. Okay, so that's it with my presentation. So I guess we're gonna have to end a bit early. Does anyone have any more questions, concerns, doubts? I should
No.
probably add some words to that list, but Okay, so if everyone is okay with this, I guess we're just gonna end it now. Bye.